In this video, we're going to show you how to use Audacity, an audio recording and editing program. So to begin with, Audacity is a free audio editing program that allows you to edit and record audio files, including your voice. Audacity is available for Windows, Mac, and Linux, and you just choose your operating system and click download and install the version. So this is the Audacity user interface, and as you can see, there's a lot of buttons in here, but they're pretty intuitive, so let's go through them. Now to begin with, the most important one is this one right here. This is your microphone record level. Right now I've got it set up at 100% or 1. I'm going to put that about 75 to start. And this is your playback volume. This is also controlled by your audio button in the corner of your, either if you're Windows or Mac, your volume controls. So I'm just going to set this around the same, around 75%. Now, if we go through these features, there's a number of things in here. We'll come back to this. Just on top of this, this is your recording levels. You'll see why this is important, and this is your playback levels. You'll see why this is important in a second. We have your standard controls, your pause, your play, your stop, skip forward, skip back, skip forward, and record. Right now, this is your audio plugin on your system. Windows systems may be a little bit different. I'm on a Mac here, so this is my core audio setting, and it says built-in microphone. So this is the microphone that I'm using to record. But sometimes you can go into this setting, and there'll be different options, as well as different microphones if you have multiple microphones hooked up. Right now, I'm recording in stereo. You can also record in mono. Mono means there's one channel. Stereo means there's two channels. For most things, I record in mono and just play it back in single channel mono. The audio right here is the playback device. Right now it's the built-in audio playback device, which is for what I'm using right now, my headphones. Now, one of the most important settings in your project is the project rate. Now, by default, this is set up down here in the bottom corner, and you'll notice it's set to 44.1. For most things, that's fine. You might want to go to 48 depending on your recording, but either 44 or 48 is good. Anything lower than that, the quality suffers. Anything higher than that, it's really way too much overkill, and a lot of devices can't play it. So the sweet spot is really around 44.1 or 48 for recording level, as most services are able to play back audio and record in that format. You'll also notice that we have some other features down here. I'm not going to get into them because they're not really used. The snap to is snap to the nearest or the prior. This will mean that your playhead will automatically stop to the nearest edit, so I'm just going to turn that off. This is the format of your time. For right now we have seconds, hours, minutes, seconds, and milliseconds. We can also go to hours, minutes, and seconds just to kind of simplify it. So you have 1 hour, 10 minutes, 3 seconds. This is really useful if you're making an edit decision list where you actually have to go through and say, okay, I need to know exactly what I need to cut out, and taking notes on it. So you can use these numbers to say, okay, there's a mistake at this, or I have to take out this section from 1 minute 45 seconds to 2 minutes 13 seconds. I have to delete that whole section. That way there you can make notes to do those kinds of edits. And there's a bunch of other tools up here. These are more editing tools up here. We've got cut, copy, paste, the standards, undo, redo. This one here is your trim and your silence buttons. And then up here you have zoom in, zoom out features, as well as right here, this is your playback button. So this will speed up your playback, and this will be the standard is 1. So that's your default. So if you want it to play back slower, you can slow it down or you can speed it up. But what I like to do is to leave it at the default of 1. So for some of the tools that we have for editing, we have the select tool, which is right here. This one's selected right here. Next to that, we have the envelope tool. This one here is a draw tool. We have a magnifier. We have the time shift tool. And this one here is called the multi-tool. So let's get started to do a recording. To get started, we're going to hit the record button. And you'll notice that I'm recording. Check 1, 2, check 1, 2. And I'm going to hit pause. So this is a little recording that we've recorded. Now this is all stuff I don't want to actually hear. So what I can do is I can actually go and select it all using the select tool, which is right here, and then go to the cut tool and cut it. I can also hit the delete button. So now that I'm ready, what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave myself a couple of seconds of quiet at the beginning before I start talking, and I'll just explain to that why we're doing that in a moment. Record what I have to say, and then pause at the end, and then stop the recording. You can also pause it if you want to break it up into smaller seconds, and it'll pick up exactly where you left off. So I'll show you an example of both. Hi everyone, welcome to today's podcast tip. We're going to talk about how to use Audacity. Hi everyone, today we're going to talk about Audacity. And we hit the pause button. And to pick up the recording where we did, we just simply unpause it. Check testing 1, 2, check testing 1, 2, and we're recording again. And now I'm going to hit the stop button to stop it. So now you'll notice that on my timeline, I've got several pieces of audio here. I can use the arrows and I can use the zoom in function to actually look at them. So what I'm going to do to see the whole timeline is I'm going to do the zoom out function right here. And now I can see there's my first recording, there's my second little piece of recording, there's my third recording, and there's my fourth recording. Well, I know for a fact that my first recording, this piece right here, is not the one I want to use because I made a mistake in it. So I'm just going to go and hit the cut button or delete on the keyboard. And I also know that these ones here at the end are also not good. Sometimes it's the last one, but in this case it isn't. I'm going to hit the cut button again. And now I have this audio file. Now it's a little hard to see, so we're going to use the plus magnifier tool right here, and we're going to zoom in. And we're going to clean up some of the end here. We'll select that using the selection tool right here, and then hit delete. And then right down here, we're just going to slide this bar over to the beginning of the audio file. And you'll notice that we've got stuff in here that we can delete. Now we can zoom in and get quite a lot of detail on this, or zoom out, depending on what you want to do. And you can actually see the individual audio files right here. I'm just clicking and dragging to select the whole audio file, or I can just grab the bar down here and move it over. So I can tell that there's a little piece of audio right here that I probably don't want. So I'm just going to cut that out. So that's gone. And that's the basics of audio recording. So now we have an audio file right here. And what we want to do is we want to clean it up. Now, one of the most useful things you can do when you're doing any kind of voiceover work is to use what's called the noise reduction plugin. The noise reduction plugin, what you need to do is you need to select an area of audio that represents the noise and use that to create a noise profile. So we're just going to hit OK because the first time we've run it, what we're going to do is we're going to select an area that's quiet but has the background noise. In this instance, it's got computer fan noise, it's got birds in the background, it's got, maybe the microwave that's playing in the background, that's running in the background, and we want to get rid of all that. So then we're going to go to the effects tool right here, noise reduction, get noise profile. And that is now selected all that. So now that we've captured the noise print, what we can do is we can select the whole file. We can either select it by hitting the selection tool and dragging, or we can double click the file and it selects the whole file. We'll go to effects, noise reduction. And this time, instead of getting the noise profile, we're going to go down here to step 2, which is reduce noise reduction. And this is the amount of noise reduction that we're going to apply. So we can increase the sensitivity, where I'm going to make it, like, say 30 dB. I wouldn't go much more past 30 dB, or I can make it less. 30 dB is about what I normally do. I'm going to go reduce and go OK. And now when you zoom into the audio, you'll notice that if you go to the area that was at the beginning, it's gotten rid of all of that background noise. Hi everyone. Today we're going to talk about Audacity. And it's playing back, and all of that little background noise is pretty much gone. So it's a very useful tool, especially if you're using a microphone that isn't close to your mouth. If you're using the built-in webcam or a source or an area that you can't get perfect audio, it's a very useful tool. The other thing that you can do is you can go under the effects and you go under the Normalize button right here. Just Normalize. So you use the Normalize tool. What we'll do is we're selecting everything. We'll zoom out so we can see everything again. So we've got everything selected here, indicated by white. Go to Effects, Normalize, go OK. And what that does is it adjusts the audio so that everything is basically the same volume. So I'm going to go and record a new audio file. By doing that, I'm going to hit the record button, check testing 1, 2. So in today's teaching tip, we're going to talk about Audacity. And I'm going to hit stop. So I can tell you right now that this is my Audacity. I can go through this whole audio clip here and pretty much know that if I listen to it. Check testing 1, 2. So today we're in today's teaching. So that's not good. So I can tell you that all of this stuff right here is not stuff I want. So I'm going to cut it. This here, if I play it, that's my Audacity, so I want to stop. And this here stuff is all stuff I don't want, so I'm just going to cut that out. Now I've got this huge pause in between here. Now this could be anything. This could be a misspoken word. This could be a flub, a pause, ah. What you can do is you can actually go and you can delete that section. I'm just going to delete that section. And when you play it back, so there's a little bit of a pause there. Now I can also zoom in to get a little more detail. I'm just going to make this timeline bigger, and I'm going to zoom in a bit. And I can go in and I can take more of that out. So I'm just selected a little tunnel right there, and I'm going to hit cut. If I play it back, and maybe a little bit more till it sounds right. So there we go. So I've gotten rid of that pause. It sounds good now, and happy with the file. I'll zoom out to see the whole file. I will run my right here. I'll select that little section right there. I'll go and select my noise reduction. I'll create a noise profile. I'll go and select the whole file, effect, noise reduction. It's still set at 30% or 30 dB, sorry. And we'll hit OK. It's done that, and I will now go and run Normalize filter on it. Hit OK. It's brought the audio up, so everything's looking good.
So in today's teaching tip, we're going to talk about Audacity.
So there we go. So there's my audio. I'm happy with that. Now we need to save it somewhere and do something with it. So we can export as an MP3. We can export as a WAV, OG, audio. I'm going to export as a WAV because it's a higher quality format. MP3s are quite compressed, and I'm just going to call this Audacity intro, and I'm going to save it in my documents. There we have it. So this allows us to add different stuff. I never bother adding stuff, but if you want to add metadata, this is how you do that, and hit OK. So I now have an audio file that's saved on my computer that I can use, that I can share with people, I can send to students. If you save it as an MP3 file, it's a lot smaller, so you can actually probably email it. So if you have a long form that you want to record that's an hour long, if you save it as an MP3 file, the file would actually be small enough to potentially email to students. So hopefully that helps. There's a lot more features in Audacity, as you can tell by some of the tools and stuff there. It's a quite powerful program, but that is the basics of what you need to know. If you have any other questions, please feel free to reach out to me. My name is Jeff Tranchmotang, and you can reach me at the hub at extension 7654 or email me at jeffrey.tranchmotang@cambriancollege.ca. Have a great day.